Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about craft beer and video games. I'm your host, Aadil, and this week we've got no Lucy and kind of Ben. Because Ben and Lucy are ill this week, but I've got Ben Younger from the Hopknocker, who I've talked a bunch about your store because that's where I've been getting a lot of my beers since I moved to Durham. But say hello, Ben.
Hey, you alright?
Yeah. So, welcome to Tanked Up.
Cheers.
So, first question is, what beer are we drinking?
Beet de Garde, which is a beetroot beer de Garde. Yeah. So, play on.
Yeah, so it's a 7.1% from McColl's Brewery. It's the Spring 2021 edition. And let me just read the flavor text and you can tell me how you came about this particular beer. A simple beer of the land, aromatically enticing, earthy, and crisp from the first mouthful. A fruity, sweet, and juicy body embraces you before spicy, classic hop notes lead to a dry, refreshing, and boozy, heartwarming finish. Brewed with rich continental malts, delicate noble hops, and lots of beetroot. Fermented with classic Belgian Abbey yeast, and then matured for 5 weeks to allow the complex blend of flavors and aromas to marry perfectly. The beat goes on. Naturally hazy and vegan friendly. And so McColl's Brewery is local, right?
Just down the road.
Yeah.
South Durham.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had that beer on keg.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't go very well.
Oh, no.
But, to be fair, a lot of people just like to have that hazy beer. So, yeah.
Do you think it was the beetroot or?
I think it was the colour, the smell. And I totally get that, to be fair.
Yeah.
But when you have a beer that's as unique as that,
yeah,
it is going to be different.
Yeah, I'm just going to move this. Yeah, I mean, if it's a beetroot beer, you can't expect it to look like a regular beer.
Let's have a look at the colour.
Yeah. Tell me. So you had this on keg. Was it like super red?
It was brown.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So hang on. Yeah, same colour.
Oh, you want to reset a bit? Oh yeah. So it's like obviously we're in a bit of a dark. Yeah. So it's actually I would say ambery orange more than brown.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a tangerine.
I think the colour's dropped out though, to be fair, because it isn't an old.
Yeah.
Old beer.
So on camera, it's a little browner than it is in person. It's a bit more tangerine orange, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go for it. Nope. And so what you had this on keg? What 2 years ago? Must have been. Oh, 3 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, I reckon it was about that. Yeah.
Oh, I can see the sediment coming through the can on your last bit of your pour.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the lighting's not great for this, but you can kind of yeah. It smells nice and sweet, but actually, the nose is like I'm getting like wild yeast almost from it. Like it's got that sort of tart tanginess on the nose.
It does taste completely different. You know, I was saying I wanted to test a can to see how well a beer ages in a can. That taste is completely. It's quite sweet. That it was really dry and a bit very, very earthy, but
I mean, I get earthy from this, but you're right.
It's
sweet right away.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's sweet then earthy, but the sweet doesn't go away. I think is what's going on. Like it's just
it
got
seems
this.
to hang. There's a new edition. Oh, I think it's due about a week's time. So we've got this year's version of it coming out.
Of the beetroot?
Yeah.
Oh, we might have to get you back to
test the...
Yeah. This is super interesting. You're right, the nose makes it feel like it should be tart. And there's like almost no tart in the taste. That's wild, actually. It's very drinkable. I will say, I mean, for reasons we don't need to get into, I was unexpectedly needing to go to the pub before I joined you. So a few extra beers in, I will say this is so drinkable and kind of dangerously 7%.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
Yeah, that beet is giving it the sweetness so weirdly, normally what I say is, oh yeah, like a boozier beer, the sweetness sort of gives away the alcohol. Right?
Yeah,
That's what's happening. Right, it's just like, oh,
like a dipper. You got it.
Yeah, you've got the sickly sweetness of alcohol.
Yeah,
but actually, the sweetness from this is, I think, clearly from the fruit, and so it's actually disguising the 7% underneath the it's beet sweetness.
Yeah.
So like this is like sugar beet sweetness. So you're like, oh yeah, this is just like a fake sweetness. It could easily be a 4% beer, but it's not. It's a 7% beer that has like between the just at 7%, you can't quite tell like from its texture that it's 7%, and then so much of the sweetness.
It's light bodied as well, whereas a double IPA is a lot thicker and it's a lot
more viscous.
Yeah.
And then again, you have this like, oh, that sweetness makes sense with the beet, so it must just be the fruit.
Yeah.
This could easily be a lighter beer, but like it's not.
I was talking to Danny, the owner of the brewery, McColl's, Danny McColl, and he was saying that when he has that in the tap room, people just go crazy for it, right? And the same thing, they don't realise it's 7%, and they're smashing it.
Yeah, they're treating it like a session beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could easily see that someone just like, oh yeah, this is straightforward. So what do you? So how long? I don't know anything about McColl's. Can you tell me?
McColl's. He's been around, brewed different places over in Cumbria, North Yorkshire. Set up his own brewery back in was it 2017 possibly?
Yeah,
I think it was then. One man team at the start.
Really?
One man team at the start.
Yeah.
And he was predominantly doing like a lot of cask traditional stuff, and it didn't work out that well because that market's saturated around this area.
Oh, fully, yeah.
So he's changed his whole like business, looked at what he was doing, got in a head brewer from a guy called Simon Whittington who used to brew for Camerons.
Okay.
Say brew. He was a part of the team. It's not really a brewery, Camerons. It's like a factory, isn't it? The size of it, it's massive. Anyway, so he's sort of made this brewery up from the ground, and he's doing really well, doing good stuff. Hasn't always been, and Danny's probably the first to admit it as well, hasn't always been the best beer, and he's struggled because he's been by himself, but now he's got Simon alongside of him.
Right.
He's really doing well. In fact, watch this space next week. We've got some beers coming in, collaborations as well, called Mayday, which is like a mental health awareness thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
I haven't really had a chance to digest what's coming in, but yeah, I'll chat about that later on.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. This is great. So normally there's other Ben and Lucy and myself talking about games we've been playing or big things in the news. But given that the other two have fallen ill and I've been marking, why don't we just talk to you? So, what is your video game history? Like, and take that as loosely or as narrowly as you feel like.
Jeez.
Also, stare at that one.
Yeah, I see that. To be fair,
like, what was your first video game system?
An Atari.
Atari, like 20.
I'm that old.
2600. Yeah,
whatever your parents brought in, and that was it. I really can't remember.
The one with the
little joystick on it, and
the joystick and the red button. Yeah, okay. I think it was for 600.
Yeah. But
did you grow up playing games though?
Yeah, I mean, I played PS1, PS2, and it stopped. Xbox, never really getting into Xbox.
Sure, yeah, but like
on like, you mean like this sort of platform and on a
PC? No, any. Like, so basically, when you were growing up, did you have a time where you played games a bunch, and what was it on? And if it's
Maybe.
no,
It was just like on a PlayStation, but
okay.
it was Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, that's great. No.
Yeah,
Again,
I remember that.
So
Yeah.
Tony Hawk 2, I think, is a fan favorite of both Lucy and Ben's.
I do remember playing Paperboy.
On the NES?
Yeah,
OG Paperboy?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that game is great.
Not Paperboy from Atlanta. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, right. No, he's like a made up rapper guy.
Oh, no. We're talking about Paperboy.
Where you
like
whip the papers.
Yeah,
boom,
but like
boom.
yeah, you can never stop. You're on like
Yeah.
you're on
You're on a
rails a
BMX.
bit. You're on this
Yeah.
not even a BMX.
Was it
It's
a
just a bicycle.
What?
It's just a bicycle that you could go a bit faster or a bit slower with up and down, and then you like you had diagonals.
Jeez, man.
And you threw papers, and sometimes you had to throw a paper at a dog so it wouldn't attack you. But sometimes the bees would get you, and there's no way to stop the bees.
Jeez.
Paperboy was one of the games we got for the original NES. I'm the youngest of 3, so my 2 older sisters and I played the NES a bunch before they like moved away from games. That's not true. We then got a Genesis Master System to you UK people, and played a bunch of Aladdin and the Lion King game.
Right.
Outside of that, I was those were the games they wanted to play, and Sonic 2.
Sonic. Jeez, it's coming back now.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Yeah. So like Paperboy though is like earlier days than Sonic 2. This is just like fucking great game. I mean awful game, but great game. Yeah. And I think like the object of the game was like to deliver papers for like a week or something. Like I remember there was definitely like you've hit a threshold when you got through 7 days, because back in the day games like were repetitive and the levels were super hard.
Yeah.
So like getting to the end of Monday was like a threshold. You're like, oh, I'm doing great at this game. And getting at the end of week 1, you're like, I'm basically done.
That was it.
Yeah. So you played PS1. Did you have like? Were you just not like? Was this like games weren't a big part of your?
I mean,
this is a no judgment zone, by the way. I'm just trying to figure out, like, we've chatted games a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be fair, where I'm from in South Shields, they've got like a big like sort of fairground with arcades, and you go there and you'd play like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
So you're like an arcade.
Yeah. So it was more like, thing is now, my kids they'll sit in the house and they don't go out. Whereas like we would go out. We'd go to the fair, we'd have something to eat, go to walk along the beach, go into the arcades, play on the arcades, and now gaming has almost become like a draw the curtains.
So this is actually really interesting because although I didn't have the like arcade etc., like my favorite type of gaming is couch co-op.
Right.
So like in the arcades growing up, it was like the Simpsons or the X-Men like arcade game where it's like a 4-player like beat 'em up side scroller.
Yeah.
And the thing is, then you buy Streets of Rage for the Master System,
right? And
then you play that with your friends at home, and that was what I liked. I liked having friends over and playing a game together, a game you could play at the same time with your friends. And the problem is like because of online gaming, etc. It's really hard to find an actual couch co-op game. Like to the hilariously, my housemate Keith, we were like reminiscing about how we both loved Civilization 2,
right?
Which came out in like my junior high, and in order to play it multiplayer, you have to play it on 2 different computers. But the premise of it is like you're playing in 2 different like it's a game at the like precise point of internet gaming becoming a thing. Or so I actually to make it make sense because there's a desk there where he plugs his laptop in. If he sat there and I sat here, I would like it wouldn't work because I would see the map, and the whole point is I have no idea where on the map he is. So in order to play this game from my junior high days with like communally with my housemate, I go downstairs to the little PC that's plugged in my TV, and I play Civ 2 there, and he plays it up here. And I think that's kind of like a good like notion of multiplayer gaming and playing with your friends on the other side of the world, as someone who like lives on the other side of the world with a bunch of friends, is great. But also, everything is so capitalist tuned towards that. I can't actually just start a game and be like, hey, after we record, do you want to just play this game? It's like, it's really hard to find a game where I can just like play with someone in the same room.
Yeah.
It's really wild to think about because almost all these games were there was no idea of playing not in the same space as someone, like Pong.
Yeah.
One of the first video games of all time, right? It is premised on, here's my controller, here's your controller, we're staring at this screen together, and like, right, and like actually, if they released Pong today, I guarantee you, it would be multiplayer and there'd be no way to play it in the same space. Like there's just wouldn't be. It'd be like, yes, I've got my phone and you've got your phone, but we'd have to do this so you couldn't see each other's phone, you know. But anyway, so you played arcades a bunch, hey?
Yeah.
And
all
then
car racing games. Forgetting the names of them now. Yeah, it was. I just remember playing car games as well. So, yeah.
That was like your genre.
Forza, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Forza's the PlayStation. Forza's interesting because it's a bit more technical, but then they had the Horizon games, which were the more arcadey ones.
Yeah,
but the same like series. So video games kind of in and out, happy to play, but it was never like a central.
Nah. I mean, it was just one of
it's fine.
Life takes you different paths, and it's
totally fine. I was just trying to. So the real question is, you run one of the only craft beer establishments in the tiny town that is Durham that we both live in.
It's a city. Tiny city.
Sorry. For those of you who don't know, from North America or other places, in Europe, if somewhere has a cathedral, it's a city.
Yeah.
So,
what's the criteria? It's a cathedral.
Isn't it just a cathedral?
No, it's a university.
No, so OG in like before, because Durham University is not that old. Like, cathedral defined a city in Europe. And so, like, obviously, I grew up in North America where there's no cathedrals. A bunch of cities. Cities are, population-based entities, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's a tiny city, really.
Yeah, so sorry, I should have said small city.
You could walk around.
Oh, no. So
and, the whole city centre is done within...
Yeah. If you put yourself anywhere in Durham, anywhere at all, and you walked for 20 minutes, you would leave Durham.
Yeah. You would leave the centre of Durham, yeah.
You would leave the city.
Yeah.
No, you would be in the countryside.
There's
no spot in Durham where I could draw a 20-minute walking line and still be in Durham, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It is. It's
That's not true. I guess if you, we're around North Road into the station house and you drew, a very specific line up Giles Gate.
Yeah.
You would stay in. So it's outside of that, though. It's just a very small spot.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to denigrate Durham. I really love living here. I like the place, but it is small.
It is. Because I come from a town called South Shields, and it is borderline as big in the centre as Durham. Yeah. And I've been to other towns and you're like, how is this a city?
Yeah. Well, so
how.
Outside, so the funny thing, why I bring this up is not so with the students, the city population doubles to almost 50,000.
Yeah.
So yes, viewers on the other side of the world, 50,000 people can be a city, but to me, I'm used to the student ebb and flow and the population dictating something. But actually, no matter what happens, if the university shut down and half the population left and we were left with 10,000 people all year long, it would still be a city because it has a cathedral. But yes, so I was just trying to say a smaller place. So Durham's not a big place.
Yeah.
again, the scale's really weird. So I grew up in Calgary, which when I was growing up was 800,000 people and was a small city in Canada.
Yeah, that's scary. That.
Yeah, and now it's 1.2 million people, and it's still a medium-sized city. Wow. And I didn't understand until I moved to Europe how weird that was. But what mostly is weird about it is actually not the number of people, but the density per square mile. So, like when I moved to Bristol, there's just more people per square mile than Calgary, but there's still like 500,000 people.
Right.
It's a city. And then I moved here. It's like it's a city and it's got no density. And like so, I just like had to really reformat my brain.
You've got a chance as soon as you walk out of the city centre. You've got more chance of bumping into a sheep.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because you see farmers driving past the city centre.
Yeah.
With hay bales, livestock. It is. Yeah. It's one of the reason I love Durham is it's a rural city that's just got so much.
Yeah. So actually, that's a really good way of putting it because that doesn't exist because we just don't have that definition, right. But also because Canada is so there's not a lot of people in Canada, so we do concentrate in these urban centers, and we do have towns that aren't quite as big as cities that are still quite, but they're still quite like you don't quite have that blend into the.
Yeah, so
you just have like you have like the footprint of the place. If it's a town or it's a city, and then there's kind of like dead space, and then there's farmers. And the farmers kind of pretend like they're not close to the city. While here in Durham, because it's so small, there's people on the outskirts and there's villages on the outskirts that aren't technically part of Durham, and they all kind of form a community. Yeah. And that's like super interesting to me because I'm having that. Yeah. But anyway, back to the point. What was your first experience in craft beer?
In South Shields, met an American guy who introduced me to Brew Dog Punk IPA. Yeah, the original.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. That Steady Rolling Man.
Yeah.
You know, like the core range peels that I get now.
Yeah.
It was like that.
I will say, what year was this ish?
2011.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I moved to the UK in 2012.
Right.
And I already had so for me it was the microbrewery thing in Canada. Microbrewery and craft beer is slightly different, obviously, but like I was seeking out those sort of tastes.
Yeah.
And so I think I probably only had my first punk IPA in like maybe 2012, 2013. But like
it's still good then.
Yeah,
though. It was punk.
Yeah, it was new, it was crisp, it was a taste that wasn't available in other places.
Yeah.
As much as I like have problems with some of the politics and some of the things that have gone on.
Yeah.
And kind of the taste of the beers since those politics have happened, it would be dishonest for me to say the first times I had that in those first few years weren't good.
Yeah. It's one of them. Yeah. But prior to that though, it was more about like American imports coming over like Sierra Nevada. Yeah.
Remember when that was such a unique flavor in the UK that you were just like, oh, they've got Sierra Nevada. I must have that.
It just blew your mind, the flavor.
And I want to say, I'm saying this because they haven't changed, but the UK has changed around it.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last place that had it, but that's because it's such a plain. I mean this with respect to what else you can have. It's a very good. It's like a quintessential IPA.
Yeah.
But it's doing nothing extra, and there's so much option in the UK now that like, why would you carry that? Which is crazy because like again, 2012 through
Torpedo.
Yes.
So I had that on keg, and it really went down. I think a lot of people like have this nostalgia thing where it's like, remember that this was the beers. These were the, you know what I mean? It's. I don't think it's about that tastes as good as any UK beer now because it's excelled. I think it's just about like I put Old Peculiar on from Thixton.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it's a nice beer, and it's years and years old. But I think it was just the fact that people would just remember what they started with.
Yeah.
And then to try it again.
So my first microbrew experience was a brewery that's in the Currie Barracks in Calgary, Alberta. And it's in the old Army Barracks. There's a brewery. It's called Wild Rose Brewery, and there's just like beers they've been making steadily since. And when I go back home, if I have a pint of that, even though it's by a bunch of craft standards, it's straightforward and plain.
Yeah.
It's like a wheaty beer.
Step back in time, though.
But I will always love that. I mean, in my philosophy degree, because the grad lounge at the University of Calgary used to have a free pool table, and cheap jugs of Wild Rose. On Fridays, I would go with my friends and just drink multiple pitchers of beers and shoot pool. So like, I guarantee you, in like 10 years, if I go back and if they still make it and I have that sip, it will be one of my favorite beers of the week. Like
it's one of them things.
Yeah, humans are very what's the word I'm looking for? We're just like, we like what we know. We also pattern recognize, but like there's a comfort in that nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's a comfort in that nostalgia. Yeah.
And I can still go back to like, I'm trying to think of some of the real ale that was basically just twig. But at the time, you're going back like, right, I'm 45 now, right? You're going back.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I thought you were closer to my age, but you're...
No, 45, right?
I mean, we're both in our 40s, so it's
fine. I'm trying to think. So my dad would take me out drinking when I wasn't allowed to drink as an age. So I was like 15, and I would be in the pubs with my dad. And back then, nobody batted an eyelid.
It was 30 years ago.
Yeah. So the beers were more twiggy.
Yeah.
But it was better than Foster's and Carlin and all the generic brands that were out there. And I still go back and have these beers now, and it's just like Timothy Taylor Landlord.
Oh, yeah.
If it's kept,
it's fine.
It's just, and it's, I think
That's super interesting, because so a friend of mine got married a couple weekends ago, and they had friends who had like been in Durham during their PhD or grad school or whatever, and then left.
Yeah.
And then they said, oh yes, but because in their formative drinking years they had literally that beer, the Timothy Taylor Landlord.
Yeah.
They were like, they went to the pub and they ordered that, and I'm like, this is so good. Yeah. And I'm like, it is objectively okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
More than okay. It's just like, but like, you could see them having, because my first experience with Timothy Taylor was when I moved to the north in fall 2022.
You're right.
I have an entirely different and like incommensurate like experience with that beer. Like at no point will I ever have this like nostalgic wave.
Give it 10 years though.
No, because the problem is all these other beers.
You've already
but all the other beers that I'm having that are new in Durham, I'm having at the same time as that.
So like,
some of them are objectively better beers.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, my nostalgia will be, look at those ones.
Yeah.
Right?
Steady Roll Man and Cask.
Oh, no. Oh, on Cask, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
The first time I had it on Cask was in your pub.
Yeah. And it's. I think that's going to be one of them beers that people are going to, in years to come, it's just going to,
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked Steady Rolling Man, but I've only ever had it, I think, once or twice in Birmingham on keg. I wish Lucy was here because she could have confirmed at a couple events we went together to. Or just 10. Right? But yeah, the first time I had it on Cask was at your pub, and I was like, oh, this actually works really... This is actually really surprising, because often what I find is craft beers are better in keg than in cask. Just like obviously not like a 100% rule, but often that is the case because just the way it's made, the like level of carbonation that's expected, etc. But Steady Rolling Man works in both.
Yeah.
kind
but
of
it's not
remarkable way.
just the same recipe that goes into the cask though.
What do they do?
So they change the malt bill, and it's a lighter drink when you're drinking it. Yeah.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. So they've actually changed the recipe.
Change it. It's the same hops and everything, but like, it's like the malt bill that comes in. So when you put it in the cask, it's just smooth.
So the idea is that it's going to taste. Oh, you actually had it on cask and keg at the same time at one point.
Yeah.
And I didn't AB it, and now I'm annoyed because now I want to know: is it that they're making it as smooth as it can be in both, or as similar in both? Because those are two different ways of like doing the thing.
Well, I'll have to wait until they do it next then.
Yeah. So we're still on. So you had this American friend.
Yeah, in South Shields, yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, have you heard of
Untappd? Not
real, but good beer?"
He showed me Untappd.
Oh,
and I was drinking in the Camera pub in South Tyneside.
Yeah.
Which, it's one of these bars. It doesn't do normal. Well, probably does now, but at the time, didn't do normal beers. So you would have,
when you say normal,
like what you'd find everywhere else, generic beers that you'd find everywhere else, and they'd have. To be fair, they were quite twiggy beers, but it was different again.
Yeah,
it's always about, for me, it's finding something that's not like, bleh. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then Dave introduced me to Punk IPA. There was a restaurant in South Shields that had Punk IPA on keg, and I was like, "What we're going to a restaurant for?" He's like, "No, trust us, watch." He went to this place, and I had it, and I was just like, "What?" It didn't take long though before it was in the supermarkets.
Yeah,
and then
they did do very well for themselves.
Yeah, it wasn't long. So
so that was your first introduction to like craft.
Yeah,
but so there's a bit of a gap from being forced to go to a restaurant which had a specific thing owning
that. It went from having cask beers, German, Belgian beers, a little bit of American imported beers, to Punk IPA, and then Dave said, "You go to Newcastle, you got the Bacchus." There's bars that aren't even there now because there's so many little micropubs that come up and stuff like that. But so then I started going to Newcastle.
So basically, that like brought you to a scene of microbrewery, craft brewery pubs.
And
sorry, micropubs, craft brewery pubs.
Yeah.
So we don't really have microbreweries here.
Yeah. It's different because even when you go to Germany, a microbrewery has.
Well, you have small breweries and microbreweries are different things, right?
A brew pub, sorry. No, I'm getting thinking you have the brew pub, but yeah. So, would you say the UK has nano breweries, or are they micro? Because it's in America and it is a lot bigger. Yeah.
So this is the thing is, growing up in Calgary, my drinking years were in the like mid 2000s through 2010s.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. No. My drinking years were 2000. My legal drinking years were 2001 through 2010 when I moved away. It was entirely the noughties. I don't know why I said it otherwise. But the like microbrewery meant this like startup company that was trying to do what breweries did. So they would have really interesting recipes, but they were trying to make a like steady menu of beers. And make that consistently.
Right.
And right when I left Canada is when we started having a bit of a craft scene where it was mostly the microbreweries making like, they called them seasonals.
Right.
But they were never like, often it was like
almost
our summer.
One-off.
Well, yeah, the summer beers were never repeated. They were one-offs.
Yeah.
Which is the beginning of the craft scene because it's like I'm just making this beer for whatever. I go to the Netherlands for 2 years and I have a bunch of Amstel and Heineken. because I'm in the Netherlands for 2 years.
Yeah.
But also, I've got the Brouwerij and a bunch of others like small breweries which are starting to do things like IPAs, etc. in Europe.
Yeah.
They're not available in other places, so you either go to the brewery or you buy the bottles in a bottle shop, but also in the bottle shop I can get things like the Roquefort 8. Roquefort 8 for under €3. So what do you think I was doing? I was having my Heinekens and my Amstels when I was out with my friends because I'm in grad school, doing my master's. And then when I was at home, I was drinking Roquefort 8s like a fucking king, right? Like, it's just like there wasn't a middle ground that made sense.
But you wouldn't really, to be fair, if you were going out for sessions you wouldn't want to be sitting drinking that sort of stuff.
But the problem was, like, there were these a couple breweries that, so when we went there, I'd be having, like, the craft beer. But we'd have to go to, like, the Windmill Pub.
Yeah.
But, like, craft wasn't a thing enough that other places would carry it. And then I moved to Bristol in 2012 fall, and it's kind of the same where you've got like Bath Ales starting to try and do things more innovatively, but really they just want you to have gem. They just want you to have jam, but they'll have these one-offs to like appeal to the craftier people. Punk IPA comes in, but it's in a handful of pubs. And weirdly, in 2014, like I'm starting some things are happening. And then I move away to Nova Scotia for 2 years. Come back in 2016, and honest to shit, it's from 2014 to 2016 when I leave, Bristol fucking flips because suddenly there's like 5 or 6 craft breweries. Arbor becomes bigger. I don't actually know when they started, but it's basically around the same time. New Bristol Brewery, all of them, like they just like become a thing. But also because Bristol is the smallest, close-knit city. Yeah, so it's like Greater Bristol area is 500,000 people.
But you're right next to Bath as well, so it's close.
But also,
it's like one of them.
Yeah, but also all these craft brewers, like the pubs want to carry local shit.
Yeah.
So they might have Heineken or Carlsberg or whatever, but they'll also get like
a house
Arbor or New Bristol Brewery or Wiper and True on tap. And because of that, the Bristols, it was big enough that these like 5 or 6 local breweries spread throughout the city, and people start liking it and drinking it, and then it becomes a thing where within 5 years, a few more breweries are open, and it becomes a thing.
Yeah,
and I honestly think it like it's London by sheer volume, Manchester, Bristol as far as like the UK cities of craft beer. And Bristol, it was so interesting to be there at that time and start this weird podcast in 2015.
Yeah.
God, shit. Yeah, we've been going for 9 years. But yeah, and it was like literally like the first time I had Wiper and True was because Ben and Alex were like, we want to take this is really cool thing we just discovered because it was like not well known in Bristol and fairly new. Let's like taste it on the podcast. And I had just come back for a term and I was like, oh, I'll be on your podcast.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had Wiper and True, which are on the like this is the what we're drinking out of there is the We Are Beer cups that were glasses that were given out last year at the Craft Beer Festival.
Right.
And we've got Wiper and True on the glass that was given to all of the participants. Nice. Right? Tell me about the second beer, and then we'll get on to yours.
Spirit of the Wood. It just says barrel aged.
Yeah.
By Hackney and Against the Grain, and it is. Didn't realise it was that strong, but it is 8.5%.
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't mean to pick two strong beers, but yeah, I had this. I think so. This was best before 22nd of the 3rd, 21. So I've been doing I've always kept like the Belgian beers in the bottles. I'm doing that all the time, but to try it in a can, and these are the end results, and that wasn't a bad beer.
I would say
previously.
So we've talked a little bit about like can age / just best before dates and how. And it's been really mixed actually. There's some beers where it's like a few months before the best before and it's clearly gone off. And I mean something like a barrel aged beer, it seems more likely it'll age fine in the can. Maybe this is me just being a simpleton. I'm like aged, but like but it's been really interesting because we've had a couple beers in the past year actually. Like I think also Lucy, Ben, and I where it's like, look, we've had 400 odd episodes where we usually have 2 or 3 beers. We started with 3 beers an episode, like fucking idiots, because we were in our 20s. But like, we've obviously had over 1,000 beers just on the fucking show, right?
Right.
So and so we kind of know when something is off. Right?
Yeah.
And just be like, I think this is off. Like, it's not bad, but I just doubt this is what someone would like make as a product. And it's been within the like,
it's
the range.
Still,
But it just feels like I think this is just aged poorly. So anyway, and also we've had the exact opposite, which is like, this beer is supposed to be off, but it's fine.
So I can tell you a little bit of a story about
go on.
A brewery called 00 or 00, I don't know how you, Swedish brewery, and a beer called Naranji. So it's a
Naranja, like
Naranji, like orange,
orange Spanish.
Yeah. Give you a bit more. And I bought a bottle from House of the Trembling Madness.
Yeah.
And it was a week before its best before date. And I also had a fresh shipment come over from Sweden.
Yeah.
And it was 3 weeks after being bottled. This was when everything was in bottles.
Oh, right. Okay, so you had like you had the fresh and the like on the outs.
Yeah. So my wife at the time.
Yeah. You're good.
I says to her, look, I want to try these and just see which is the best taste. Blind tasted it, and I picked the one that was just about
off
a few days, week before, and it was perfect.
Like,
it tasted better.
So the aged one tastes better?
The aged one tastes, that's an IPA with hops in it, right?
That makes sense. I mean, even like, I think most beers age a bit well in a vessel.
Yeah.
But so I think really it's being out of date doesn't make it worse, because I think like I have definitely had actually a Wiper and True that was like really freshly canned and been like, this is fine, but also what I expect from them is more than fine. And I actually think there's just I mean, obviously I am not a brewer, right, but if it's super freshly
you almost
captured,
think, rather than pushing it out, just leave it in the cold store and it's almost like, I'm not going to name breweries because I'm on a podcast now, but there's a few breweries around that a lot of people will say, this beer tastes like onions. This is this is vegetal too. You know the ones. Yeah.
I definitely know a specific one because I was there when people were commenting on it.
Right. So
and you're like, I think this. You just give it some time, and that'll all settle out.
It just That's what.
All right. So that's
Cheers.
So it's got again a bit more orangey in person because obviously we're in this darkish room, but quite brown. It's got a lovely. It's almost like a caramelly sweetness.
Yeah.
Like that barrel aged has a bit of a slightly. It's the malt. It's a malty sweetness to it. So normally the barrel aged gives you this like hearty sweetness because it's just a high alcohol content.
Yeah.
But it's getting rounded out by the malts in a really interesting way. Like I said, slightly caramel, caramel, not quite toffee, no burnt, just like rounded sweetness.
It is sweet.
But there's something else in that. Sorry, I take my time. There's something else in that nose. It's almost citrusy.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know,
so it's like it's caramel and citrus.
Hang on with it.
Orange bourbon.
Orange. Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's come from.
Yeah, so it's bourbon barrel aged, unfiltered and unfined for bigger flavor, orange bourbon oak. Yeah, and I'm getting like again, that's super interesting. So you're getting this like caramelly sweetness from the bourbon, but the orange, and it's not like a tangerine or a mandarin.
Yeah,
it's not like a sweet citrus.
Like a sort of fresh.
It's like a straightforward navel orange. Like it's just orangey sweetness, but it's not that orangey, which is why I was like kind of hesitating. But it's a sweetness that's definitely got citrus and caramel. And this is just the nose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of great because you don't normally... most beers don't quite have that, like, degree of differentiation just on the nose.
Yeah.
So, you've had a taste. While I have a sip, you tell us what you think of it.
I'm going to have to try again because it changes.
Ooh. I'm actually getting more of that like citrus sweet on the taste.
Yeah.
It's this, so the nose is kind of navel orange, but the taste is almost tangerine-y. I mean, maybe it's because I said tangerine, but it's just like this heightened orangey sweetness on the taste. Yeah. Versus like kind of a more lax orange citrusy sweetness. Now, that's super interesting.
It's sort of woody and earthy as well as coming through like musk. Would you say musk? The wood flavor.
Oh, I see. I'm not sure if it's musk, but maybe I'm. Yeah. So there's definitely the citrus, the sweet. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's this woodiness that's a specific type of woodiness that it's got no pininess. I think that's what it is. It's like a wood with no pine, which is what normally I'm used to being. Oh, woody, piney.
Yeah.
But there's actually almost no like piney resininess at all.
It's like a. How to explain? Like old wood, rather than like fresh green.
Yeah.
Do you know, like musky. Like
I understand what you mean musky. You mean like
sorry.
Nah, he's good. Yeah, musky in the sense of like it's like dried wood.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's so the wood's there, but it's like understated. It doesn't have the like the moist overtones. For lack of a better term. But it's clearly still woody. But so you don't get the like bitter resiny stuff.
Yeah.
And all of the sweetness is coming more from the orange or the citrus. Yeah. So you just have this, so it's like a citrus with like a, I get what you're saying. It's like a...
It's like, it's very toned down. It's very,
Yeah, it's wood. But it's not like...
What about these guys?
So I don't know anything about Against the Grain.
It's because it's been that long since I've had that can. I'm sure they're an American brewery.
Let's take a look. They're in Louisville. Louisville?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think I might have seen some imported stuff prior to this.
Kentucky.
You're over 21. Yeah. You lucky bastard. Yeah.
They're in Kentucky. Interesting. I mean, this is old enough. It's probably not on their...
It won't... I don't know.
It won't be. But so this makes sense a bit. Just... So what I find is like barrel-aged bourbon, for example, because bourbon casks are virgin wood by definition. So you get the like oomph from the
like a first
liquor,
fill, like virgin first fill.
Yeah.
Right.
So like Scotch has to be the casks you age Scotch in is casks that have been used for other things.
Yeah.
So it's leaching off of the other thing and then giving to your Scotch. bourbon has to be just new, never before used wood, which means it's taking away, such that you can give it to Scotch later. But it's the only thing it gives it is the oaky taste. And so you just get this like really direct taste in bourbons. And so this is a bourbon barrel aged beer, and so it's this really weird middle ground where it's getting a bit of the whiskey taste out, but there's not a lot there because it's only what the bourbon was giving to the wood. But meanwhile, the bourbon has stolen something from the wood. So like like a beer just doesn't have enough time like a whiskey does to take the vanilla oaky bourbon tones back out. So you end up getting these really like not simple but straight, like there's just a small amount of taste and it's never gonna like give more because it doesn't have a lot to give. Because if the bourbon was only aged for X amount of time, there's only so much you can give, right? And a beer is not sitting in the barrel that long.
It's good.
Yeah. But so now that I've had a couple sips, I will say I can tell it's 8%. Once I've gotten used to the flavor, I can feel the boozy sweetness. So because this is only 1% more than the last beer. But this feels boozier. There's just like I think it's the last beer did a good job of masking, and this is not trying to mask, and it's bourbon-y, and so you're just like, this is a boozier beer. It's interesting because I actually think it's mostly on the like sweetness, not on the viscosity. So sometimes a beer can give away its like ABV because it just feels thicker. This feels just as thin as the 7%. Which didn't feel that thick, but it's the like
it's the flavor that carries through on it as well. So
like this is a beer I could easily sip through the night because it's got this like presence.
It tells you just like to take your time with it. Enjoy it.
All right, I really like the beer, by the way. I think we skipped over that. Any other notes on this? So I will say that now that we've gotten used to it, I'm finding the orange is taking a back seat, even though it was the front seat in the initial taste. Which I think is kind of interesting. I'm not sure what I feel about it because I kind of liked it, but
now it's gone. And you want it back.
Yeah, but we'll see how it ebbs and flows. Let's go back to you got into craft beer.
Just a friend, and then
got Untappd.
Untappd,
and then you just blinked and you woke up and you owned a pub. Like what's the middle spot?
There's a lot of backstory to it.
I mean, feel free to.
I'm just trying to start from. So I've visited like various countries. I've been to the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Germany, America, New Zealand. Scotland's another country, even though
you're good.
I've been to a lot of places, and I sort of drew inspiration from places I've been and experiences, and I thought I want to do something like this.
So let's rewind a bit. So, were you just like seeing craft beer in all these places, like as
I would actively source it,
but there was craft beer. So around what time is this? Sorry, this must be like 2010.
Even
before that?
Well, opened the Hopknocker in 2018.
Yeah.
So,
because like the craft beer
2000 and I don't know.
You don't be.
I'm trying. When you're trying to reference.
I was just thinking. It sounds like 2010s ish, that decade.
Yeah, and.
A bit before, maybe,
and even after, like.
I just mean like. So knowing a bit of the history of craft beer, and so like for example, I moved to the Netherlands in 2010, and I lived there till 2012, and craft beer is very small still. right? And then I moved to Bristol, and it's still not that big in 2012. So this is why I was just saying, like, is it that, like, in the 2010s, you, like, find craft beer, and then you go to other places, and you seek it out, and you find it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what does it mean? Yeah.
It would be like a case of, like, if I was going somewhere, if it was for work, I used to work for a company, it would be like, there was no say in the matter, but like going on holiday, I would go somewhere where I know I could go and find a few places where I could find craft beer and have a good beer, and that was it. Yeah.
So it's like the confluence of you being interested in the thing and you being able to find the thing where you go. Yeah, that's sort of what I was poking at, because like. Yeah. And I might be wrong, because I'm just saying, when I first moved to Europe, I felt like it was hard to find the thing in 2010. Yeah. But not long afterwards, it wasn't hard to find a thing. Yeah, that's sort of what I was trying to say. Was it the same time? Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so you then basically realized, oh, craft beer can be in a bunch of places.
Yeah.
And then you're like.
Untappd, you can find it. So you just go on Untappd, find a verified location, or just have a look around what people have checked in, and you know where you're going to go.
Oh, so Untappd was a really big thing, right? So this is where I think our podcast failed miserably, because we started kind of pre-Untappd, right? And then I will say Ben and Lucy both started on Untappd, and we even had like a Tank That account, but my ADHD meant that I never remembered to log in, etc. And we just like never really capitalized on it.
Yeah.
But like, I've now met enough people in craft beer who are like, oh yeah, Untappd is like what. So like now I don't think you need it. There's enough places. Yeah. The fact that Durham, the city that it is, has multiple craft beer tailored places, just tells you that like. Bigger places will have more. Yeah. Kind of by default, which means you don't need the app anymore.
That's my biggest tool. As a business, you can Untappd. So then you got people that are visiting Durham, and they'll go on and they'll look. So they'll go, what's in Durham? You've got the Head of Steam. Yep. Which is fine. And then you look at. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Did you? If you want, I can edit this.
No. That's all. It's all good. So getting back to the point, right? So we're like up the road, 1.5 miles up the road. You press on Untappd because we're verified. We come up first, and you go, oh, the menu for the Hopknocker, menu for the Head of Steam.
I think
we'll get the bus up to the Hopknocker.
Right.
So for me, that's my only marketing tool.
So this is super interesting to me. I had no idea, because I don't use Untappd, and also I just wander the streets until I find a place that has a good beer, and that's why. So there's like 4 places in Durham, I would say, that like do
decent beer. Craft beer.
Well, and a fifth if you count Framblegate.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been
there. Never been there either, because it's too far away, which is why I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We can get a bus there, easy from here.
So we've got you at the Hopknocker, we've got the Head of Steam, but then right around the corner of the Head of Steam is both the other two, which is
Holy Grail
and
Station House.
And I think the Holy Grail does better craft. The Station House has a good atmosphere and does good craft keg. And so it's only because people want to go to one of the other one, I go to the other one. Although they do have a really good vegan menu, which I realize.
I need to tell you a story about the vegan menu and the Head of Steam, but not now.
Yeah. Fair enough.
No.
Yeah.
I'll not say it involves the ping noise, and it wasn't quite ready, so yeah.
Fair enough. That's as we're live on the internet. And, what I will say is, it's why I bring this up is because at the beginning of the episode I was kind of like joking about how tiny Durham is, but it's when I first moved to the UK, the idea that somewhere this big would have 4 reasonable craft places, and mostly you guys are kind of like slightly overlapping but different. So like
Yeah.
it's not like you're getting the same beers at all four.
Yeah.
And that just to me shows how much craft has become a thing in the UK. Because when I moved here in 2012, I just don't think that would have been. It might have been one if you're lucky, let alone four non-competitively overlapping in the sense of like. I think the people who go to all four of these places, like there are people who want to go to two of them.
Yeah.
But like they all have their clientele, and I don't think you're really competing in terms of who you're attracting.
Yeah.
And what types of beers you're serving.
Each has its individual like sort of its own feel, its own vibe, its own.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, I live close to this one. Oh, we're here. We'll go to that one because they're like the same. That's kind of what I think. I literally go to all four for various reasons. And I know if I want a specific type of beer where I'm more likely to have it, which means it's not just like clientele, it's also like choice.
Yeah.
But in a certain way, like the same, if you like took a cookie cutter and like punched out the borders of these four pubs and you put it in Bristol, you wouldn't have that variety. Which I think is super interesting.
See,
it's like it's why Durham's a city, not a town.
It's funny you say that though, right? So I have producers, breweries getting in touch with me. We're heading to the station house this week. Do you want any beer? Or we're heading another one. We're heading to the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Do you want some beer? And I'm like, well, not really, because
why would
you're it's.
Your piggybacking makes sense to you, but it makes less sense to me.
Yeah, because we have the same beer on at the same time as this other pub.
Yeah.
And
that's not.
It's
so. I think this is.
These are not. To be fair, local breweries around here, but it's different. But when you've got somebody coming in from North Yorkshire or borders of Scotland coming down,
it makes perfect sense to them.
Yeah, and they think, oh yeah, we can drop here, we can drop there, we can drop.
Yeah. But I guess this is what I'm saying, which is I think what you're pointing out is like what I like about the Durham scene is that I don't think I've ever thought of the idea of like on Thursday I come to the Hopknocker, on Friday I go to the Holy Grail, on Saturday I go to the Station House. At no point, if I just like had that as a loose plan, I don't think if I saw the same beer on tap on any of those, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Because you guys are like, I think the scene has done a good job of like you guys just. Like I said, you have your own. They're all craft.
Yeah.
They're slightly different, and so
catering for different markets, and it's
not even different markets, but like you're aiming for different parts. So I said it just because I'm a fan of the things. So like, we closed your pub down the other weekend, and then we went to the Station House, and we both had beers we liked. But there were beers that you probably wouldn't put on. You literally wouldn't put on.
Because I couldn't shift them.
Yeah,
because my clientele wouldn't drink that sort of beer.
But that's what I like about it, and that's I think the strength of like the Durham scene is like y'all figured it out, and you're not like trying to fight over it.
Yeah, and we are good friends. Everyone that owns. Apart from, I don't really know who owns the Head of Steam, but yeah. Anyway,
it's a chain.
Cameron's. Yeah. Anyway, so I know the guys.
Yeah,
and they come to my place. I go to their place, and it is it's a good relationship because we're talking about. Oh, can you do this better? Can you do that better? You know, me putting the cask on.
Yeah.
Chris from the Station House would always give me tips and do this, do that. And I was shitting myself at first putting cask beer on. I think I'm not gonna get rid of like 70 pints in 4 days.
Your cask has been flowing.
Shit. Yeah. So now everyone's saying, let's put 2 on. No. Just wait. I need to get it open 7 days, and then I can put a variety of casks on, and do like an early week, like a cheap cask day thing, that sort of thing. But that's for the future. But so we all have like this relationship where we talk and we go and see each other, and it's good. There's no people like customers are like, oh yeah, about such and such and such and such.
Really?
And I'm like, no, these are my mates. Like,
yeah, that's
I know, it's weird. Like, I've got like almost like an army of people following behind, saying, "We will."
That's super interesting.
Yeah,
because I do know some people who are like, "Oh no, I'm a diehard other pub place," and I'm like. What the fuck does that mean? So I'm really glad that you guys...
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen it, and I'm just like, whoa, no.
It's just like the tribalism of people, kind of, right? People just think... They become fans, and if they view... I mean, people are so simple. If they view a competition, they will hold on to it.
Yeah.
And, like, it doesn't even matter... It's like... I know... Yeah, it's like... There are people who need to be coaxed to try something new.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, obviously, because... I've been to both these pubs, and the people who run it, the people who go there, and the people who serve there, and the beer there are all good.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this, but you don't believe me because you're like a diehard fan. I'm like, to be honest, I find people who think like that a little hard to be around because it's like, just flex your brain, my dude. Like,
stop being so narrow-minded about things and just like get out of it.
So I'm gonna non-standardly. I feel like the orange has disappeared on this. I feel like the barrel aged... Oh no, I lied. It's right on the finish. It's that tangerine sort of... Is it tangerine or is it mandarin? That's mandarin. It's a little too sweet. I think it's a barrel aged. Like the ABV is making that citrus quite sweet.
It's coming sweet, isn't it? Yeah.
But what I meant by that is like when you just swig the beer, I'm getting almost no citrus, and it's only when the like maltiness fades away
and it kicks in.
Yeah, which is super interesting because if you recall earlier when we first had those tastes, we were like, yes, orange citrus. Yeah, and that's just like our palates have like just acclimatized. It's like, oh no, there it is. So it's like changed a bit.
What's your This is controversial here. What's your take on chugging a beer? Not like a 8% beer.
I mean, visit me in my 20s and 30s.
Right.
Chugging a beer is what you have to do sometimes.
So imagine you've.
All right.
So I've walked to work, right? Opened up the Hopknocker.
Yeah.
Got in there. I'm like sweating. It's really hot. Pint of, I don't know. Could be lager. Could be pale ale.
Granted.
Gug. The intensity of that, just one pint as a chug. Yeah, it's like how we're just taking our time with this now. It does change, it does develop. But with a beer that's just straight down the line, like a lager, pale ale type thing.
It has to be something light. No,
because you don't want something too complex because it is going to challenge you too much.
Yeah, but also, so when I first started drinking beer, oh god, sorry, I just realized that like my first sessions of beers were in the last century, so I was gonna say in the late 90s, and I was like, nope, I don't like what that puts me. But I actually didn't like the taste of beer in the beginning of like undergrad,
right?
And so I liked the taste of Guinness. Didn't like the taste of like...
I don't have anything to say about that.
Yeah.
Sorry. But
no.
Yeah.
So it means that on my 19th birthday, my friends, we went to the Kilkenny, which is a classic Irish pub, which I know what that means on this side of the world. I was in North America, just forgive me.
Yeah.
But it meant that... there's like a loose... So what do you say when someone has like a drink in each hand?
Multitasking.
So we call it double fisting.
Right. Oh,
right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. This is why I said it that way because it.
Shut this down. Shut this down.
Yeah, which is why. So what happened on my 19th birthday was because I didn't like other beers.
Right.
I would either buy a shot or a pint of Guinness. But if there was 2 Guinness and a third Guinness arrived, I had to drink one of the Guinness. But I had one of my special abilities is I can literally just I could just throw back a beer.
Yeah.
You open up your throat and you just dump it down, and you don't taste it, right? So this is how, like, at the heights of my depression, I used to have Huel as my breakfast. And I wouldn't taste it because I would just literally pour it into my stomach and never hit my tongue. I wouldn't gulp, etc.
Yeah.
But it meant that I could throw back anything, including Guinness. And so on my 19th birthday, in 45 minutes, I had 7 shots of different varieties and 9 pints of Guinness.
God.
Yeah. Turns out, after that 45 minutes at the hour mark, I told my housemate, I think we need to go home. Because I was 19 and I had so much booze.
No.
But the thing is, I could do it, and people assumed I was okay because I was drinking the Guinness. The thing is, I wasn't drinking the Guinness.
You were just
I was
chucking it.
pouring it into my stomach. So, like, I'm the wrong person. The purpose of this anecdote is, like, I'm the wrong person to ask about this because I can just skip the taste buds.
You don't taste it because it's just
like literally like your throat remains open and you pour it down. It's not like fill gulp when you taste it.
So that's a different. That's not really a chug though, is it? It's just like a disappearing act.
Yeah, it's
a chug is
cheating. Chugging is gulp blah. Yeah. This is why I'm saying this because it's like I can't answer your question because I have this mild superpower where I can just skip that step.
You've developed it. So. Where does the double fisting come into it then?
The double fisting was the way I found out I could do that.
As long as you don't do the double.
So the point was the way I found out was because I was
you're backed up with drinks.
Yeah, I had 2 Guinness and then a third Guinness, so I had to throw the one down. Anyway, so what was your question? Yeah, so this is
chugged. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
It's all chugged.
So yeah, I like how malty it still is. I'm surprised at how light it feels at the end, having had it for a half hour in sips.
It's warmed as well.
Yeah, and it's super easy to drink. I will say it finishes a bit boozy. So like you saying 8%. So like the last beer, by the end of it, I would never have called 7%. This I could kind of see, but also if you didn't tell me 8%, I wouldn't have thought about it. Shall I rinse these?
Tell you what, no. I don't think there's any need to because this. It's a dark sour ale or a sour dark ale.
Okay, so I will say, we've managed like an hour and 15 minutes of recording. I still don't know when you started this business.
Oh, jeez.
So, I warned you this might happen. Because I'm a talker. And I'm happy with tangents. But, why don't I...
No.
If you want to.
No.
But I can just get a...
And it costs too much to go to the dentist.
It's
fine.
I'll grab a bottle opener. Right. Is it okay?
I'm laughing. Sorry.
Oh, you have? Fuck you! God damn it!
I didn't actually realise. I just thought I've got them on my keys.
That's really funny. I mean, it's less good than this one, but
it works.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bottle opener.
This.
So tell us about this beer.
I've had 2 other bottles, similar sort of things, but I had them quite fresh, quite young. So this is. I think it's 2019, possibly.
Oh wow, okay. Another. So yeah, I think we didn't say this at the top of the episode, but you basically brought things that you've had around that you've aged specifically.
Yeah.
2019, 12/20. Yeah.
It's all hand.
Yeah.
So this is from the Netherlands.
Yeah. So it's a Vandenbroek, Mervodik, Heisting. Vlaamsbruin, sour dark ale.
Oh fuck!
I'm not gonna read. Oh, there we go. Vlaamsbruin beer for storage is a blend beer brewed according to the tradition This beer has a confined bitterness and a delicate sweet sour balance due to its maturing of 12 to 18 months. It is exceptionally suitable for beer food pairing or storage, which will refine its taste further. This beer yields complex tastes of barley, a hint of caramel, cherries, raisins, wood, and ... So yeah, this is 2019 Vandenbroek's Vlaamsbruin Sour Dark Ale, made for aging. So this should be...
It's aged.
Yeah, it's aged.
Have a sniff of that.
So they said 8 wood. Sorry, I just want to... Caramel, cherries, raisins, wood. Oh, fucking hell. Thank you, friend. This is... Fuck, what a complex... No, I actually really want to spend some time on this nose, because I get the cherries, I get the wood.
What also you get, you can feel like the burn, can't you?
Yeah.
When you're sniffing it, you can feel it, like it's gonna like...
Yeah, it's quite... So yeah, I think the sweetness is clearly alcoholic, right? So it's like, it's not cherries, it's like cherry liqueur.
Yeah.
And the woodiness is kind of like soaked.
Oak,
yeah. It's not just wood. It's like
it's
boozy.
It's there, and it's yeah.
Oh, there's something else there. Oh, that's really. Vinegar. I do get the dried fruit. I do get the dried fruit there, though, right? So you get the cherries separate from the dried fruit.
Yeah.
But it's real boozy. Oh, so what I will say is,
I'm scared. I'm scared of that. You got any Rennies? You got any Rennies?
Rennies?
Heartburn tablets?
Oh no, I don't. What I will say is, I think it's fantastic because the nose isn't strong. It's layered, but it's not like...
It's not one waft. It's like it's a whole...
But when you smell it, you're like, oh, these things are going on. And again, rewind 2 minutes. We're both like, holy shit, these are the things. But like, they're not like hitting you in the face. It's just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, this is complex and a bit scary. Which again, it's... So I will say, just on the strength level of the nose, I think it's way more delicate than the second beer, and maybe on par with the first. Like, if you think about like the strength of the nose, it's really quite light. It's just fucking layered, which is really interesting.
Just like
so when you're like paying attention to the nose, you're like, oh, I think we're in trouble. But if you just like take a smell,
and then it's
just like a light, like it's not that strong.
Yeah,
which is super interesting given like our initial reaction, because we're like paying attention beer wise.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is really... Actually, so it said raisin, but actually I think it's lively enough to be grapey. Give it another smell. Right. Look, see if you... Like a green grape undertone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not quite...
I was like,
there's like a liveliness.
Weirdly getting like cherry blossom. Like, you know, like a fresh, like a fresh flower.
Yeah.
You know.
That I think is a better way of describing the liveliness that I was talking about. Yeah, there's a floralness.
Yeah.
That's really lively, but everything else is really dense, sort of.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get heartburn. Here we go.
Oh shit!
Actually, it's not that bad.
It's bright. You know what I mean?
It's not as burny as I was.
There's like no burn actually.
It smells like it's gonna be burn, but
I didn't think that. Interestingly,
no, I've just got this thing where I drink something that smells like vinegar.
So what I think is really interesting is on this first taste, so much apple.
Oh.
But no apple on the initial nose. I think there's so much apple on the taste, but none on the nose.
It's like a fresh, crunchy...
Yeah.
Like,
it's the vegetal appleness. Not like... Yeah, but like... We didn't say anything about apple at all. No. But like, I'm getting so much apple on that taste. Right? But you're right. It's the like... It's the vibrancy of the apple.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. This is a really great beer. Thank you.
It's all right.
No, I mean this really sincerely. Like, it was such a again, a nuanced, layered, but reserved nose, and then the taste is doing similar things but an entirely different vector. Like, if you gave me this nose and said, by the way, this tastes like apple, I would be like, fuck you.
No.
But
no.
the immediate thing was appley. Wow, what an interesting beer. Yeah, I think what it is there's an acidity and a sweetness on the taste that just isn't on the nose. And like the grape. So if you think of like the grapiness that we were talking about, but add acidity, and you get apple out of that. Yeah. So actually, it's probably no appley taste. It's just the nose doesn't give you the acidity and the sweetness in the same degree. And so the fruitiness that's happening on the nose with a bit of extra acid and a bit of extra sweet just tastes like kind of generic apple. That's my guess. Anyway.
I'm going to be honest. When I first tried it, I didn't actually like it. I thought... And it's the initial hit.
Yeah, it's so it's like vibrant.
Yeah. And then now it's like, whoa. It's good.
Yeah, no. This is one where we're gonna sip it and find. So some beers just have a very straightforward taste curve.
Yeah.
This, I think, it's like a curve on a curve where, like, as you drink it, the curve shifts. Yeah. I suspect this is one of them, just because there's such a difference on the initial taste and the initial nose, but both are very good, but like very nuanced. All right, let's circle back because we have yet to start your business in your narrative.
Right.
So you found Untappd. Yeah. And that's where we stopped.
So
I guess it's like what. To be honest, what I'm really curious about is like what made you shift to. So what? Yeah, what made you like decide beer is more than a hobby or like a thing I imbibe.
This is a it's a tough story to tell, but this is how it is. Yeah, a mate of mine who diagnosed cancer. Oh, he was a chef. No, he was a chef. He worked in the Caribbean. He was a high end chef. He was one of the founding chefs in the Hilton in Gateshead. Okay. Anyway, cut long story short, conversation I had with him as he was about to die. Enjoy your life, live your life, do what you want to do. Don't just
live.
Just
don't just like do the thing.
Do it. Yeah, and do you know what it is? I almost feel, because I feel like I didn't do that. I feel that he's almost spiritually pushed me to do that. Yeah. I can't explain it because I'm not a religious person. I'm not a whatever you want to. And you know when you hear stories about this, but that for me pushed me to do that. I
mean, you don't need any like external.
Even the week before I was going to open, I still was like, is this really going to happen? I had the premises. I'd started doing the work, putting things in there. The fridge turned up. It's crazy.
But like basically, you got some insight into the fleetingness of life, and you decided to try and do the thing that you liked. Yeah. Like obviously, I'm like glossing.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So, but like, I used to work in a job that would be like it would like I'd be driving around a lot of places, like from Aberdeen back home, down to Manchester, down to London, down to it would be like
doing the thing,
doing a job, and there was no like. It was just like there's a lot of money involved in it. But it was just
not
like
a good lifestyle,
soul destroying. Yeah, because you'd be like, where am I going next? But then you would look at a board, you would see like somebody that had come from Hull had gone to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I'd be driving down past Hull to Grimsby or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were like, wow. So like,
yeah.
Now, I'm the biggest dickhead of a boss in the world. You hear that all the time there, don't you?
Yeah.
I fucking hate my boss. He's a dickhead. But yeah, no, I really enjoy doing what I'm doing now. And it's not a job. It's almost, well, it is a job, yeah, don't get us wrong, but it's like the passion of finding this and finding that and doing this and doing that. That's the drive. But from Andrew, what he had said to me, do something that you like. And
so I think there's like two paths, right? One is you have the job that's your 9 to 5, and it pays your bills to the extent that you can have your life outside of it.
Yeah.
And that's like the 1950s job. Right?
Yeah.
So if you look at pop culture, etc., why that works, why even in the 80s, like why Homer Simpson works the nuclear power plant and somehow can go home and ignore his job, that ideal that kind of doesn't exist anymore because employers have unreal expectations. But like that's a job, that's like a notion of a job that is, we need our like basic needs met, and because we live in capitalism, those needs can be met by trading some labor for those for the money to have those needs. And if those have like a very strict border you can walk away from, you can do kind of whatever bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you have enough space to do your passion, and it can have no money involved.
Yeah.
The other path is, and if you basically like, the other path is you, regardless of the money, you try and like make it work because the thing you are doing is the thing you enjoy, and you recognize that's a luxury and it might not pay as much. I say this because late stage capitalism is broken, and actually both should be attainable, but they're not because of stupid capitalist bullshit. But like the problem is, the former is not as attainable as we were raised to believe.
Yeah.
Because jobs just expect you to jump at them.
Yeah.
But you leave university, you go to the shitty job, expecting to have the shitty job and some free time, and then the shitty job tries to like literally dominate you, and you're like, I hate everything.
It takes over, doesn't it? Yeah.
As someone who had a job.
It does. It does.
So then you shift to, can I make a passion work? And most people can't. It's just hard, and your passion has to line up with market forces and etc. And so I'm just saying, I'm really happy that it seems like, given the shitty like way the world is, you found the closest thing to the middle ground, which is like exactly like that.
You know, it's been like you can like so.
And I'm not saying it was easy. Obviously.
2018 started the business.
Yeah,
had a baby. Not me personally, but yeah. So then business.
Yeah.
2018, 2019, 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
Special year, that one.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
It almost feels now, 2024.
God, don't talk to me about 2024.
The business has changed from being a bottle shop to a micropub, and you see how many people coming for takeaway now.
Yeah.
If you've been in there in 2018, 2019, it would be 90% people taking away beers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, takeaway is such a... So, first time I went to Hopknocker was what, like October 2022?
Yeah.
And I think I've seen 7 people do takeaways.
Yeah.
And I've been there a bunch since.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing.
It almost feels now it's 95% bar.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm working harder for it. Don't get us wrong, I love it.
Yeah.
But it's easier to have somebody coming in and buy 50 quid worth of beer.
Yeah, and then walk
put
away.
Put in my bag, gone. Yeah. But I'm having to talk to you.
It sucks.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? It is harder.
It's a different business.
It is completely flipped on its head. The whole business.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm now. I am now like putting plans in place because it's organically grown to a different type of business, but I don't have the funds now to do it, to change to a full bar and get rid of this and get rid of that. And I've told you what the plans I want to do. So it's almost like, just like, people keep push, but like, just let it.
Yeah, but also what I'll say is, at least the way I've observed is the people are so loyal.
Yeah.
That they're okay to, like, they want X, but they're not going to not come. So it's okay if you just take your time.
Yeah.
Like, even regardless of how loudly they yell, if you just do things in your own pace, you'll be fine.
I think it's me taking things home with the anxiety head.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean this. I mean this really sincerely. Like, if you take a step back, the people who are like whinging or wanting aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, no.
So
no.
like
just
like
in
the most bankrupt capitalist point of view.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
They're not leaving you.
Yeah.
They might act distraught, but they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Do I think that's the best approach? No. But I mean, really sincerely, if you have that anxiety brain, be like, so what if I didn't do this? Like, literally, just like, what if I didn't do this? Yeah. They're going to come every week. The problem is they want to come more often. So they're not going to... Their retaliation for not being able to come more often isn't not coming at all. It's to begrudgingly continue coming.
Yeah.
So actually, fuck them. I can do it on my own time.
Yeah.
They love my place so much they want to be here more often. Just let it go, right? Like, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
If they just wanted to be at a pub, Durham has enough pubs.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about a pub being open, which means you can do whatever the fuck you want because they want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to be fair, it's like testament, like, why are you open till 10 o'clock? Why aren't you open till 11 o'clock? Because people love it.
What I'm going to say is, I think that one of the reasons why your pub is so local is because you aren't open when students could crash it. And now that you have enough people, you can start opening into those hours.
Yeah.
But I actually think if you had been super flexible early on, they wouldn't have this like place where students don't want to be there because you close at 9 on Thursdays or whatever. Like, I actually think that's like a powerful move that you did, but you don't need to have it now. But if you didn't have it the past 2 years, your clientele would look totally different.
Yeah.
Because like that's just what Durham is, right? Anyway, so you told me, I think we skipped when. How did you open this fucking bar?
It wasn't really a bar though. Like I say, it was a bottle shop.
Yeah. So I guess really what I want to know is, you like craft beer.
Yeah.
This is the part, like, I don't actually care about the dates, whatever, but like, what made you decide, I like it so much, I'm going to start a business selling it out of a place?
Oh.
That's the thing that, like, I'm super interested, because that's sort of like, up until, so the narrative we've talked about, we're kind of all... Obviously, I went to grad school and moved away, and like I don't have I have many reasons not to open a thing. But also, I know friends who were back in Calgary have the same narrative, and they never like suddenly started selling beer. So I'm just curious about that moment, or like that transition of like, I like this.
Yeah.
I'm connecting with people. I'm still a consumer.
I think that when I go places, and you go to bigger cities like Edinburgh, Manchester, Liverpool even.
Yeah.
You've got like... This was early business plan.
Yeah.
Bottle shop.
Yeah.
Selling craft beer from everywhere. Durham.
Nothing.
Right? Nothing. But not just that. It was just... It even now, outside of the pubs that we mentioned...
The four.
Previous... Yeah.
+1.
So it's like there's nowhere else to go to get oh, hang on, tell a lie. The old Elm Tree. Cask beer there is really nice. Do some good whiskey.
But it's not craft.
It's not craft. Well, no, they do put some keg.
Do they?
Yeah.
Because like every time I've been there, it's been like good beer, but I wouldn't call it craft.
Yeah,
in the same way,
they do.
The Angel often has like Full Circle from Newcastle.
One thing on, yeah.
Yeah, but like
so, like that was the whole thing. Like Durham, I was like, it needs somewhere. It needs something, and I was like, it's missing it.
So this
I thought there's no competition or there's.
So this was like
this is like a brand new.
I want, and I see a gap in the market.
Yeah.
What if I just
do it?
Start
Go
figuring
for it.
it out.
Yeah.
That's so. I will say that's a thing most people don't think, and it's commendable that you just were like, "Fuck it."
Yeah. Because I travel. I used to travel for work quite a lot. I used to go on holiday like weird places and stuff like that. But find it, and it would be there.
Yeah.
And then there's like Durham. There's nothing. I could go into a lot more bashing, but I'm not going to bash.
Yeah. Get a cat who's yelling out of the door. Yep.
Have you got a cat on your foot?
No.
Are you sure? No, put your foot up there.
No, this is just a.
All right.
These are USB heated Yeti slippers. I am such literally. You can see where plug in. It's USB heated.
I'm in the wrong job here, man.
Sorry.
Shit.
Yeah. You think I'm a nerd, and then I'm like, no. Like literally.
Shit.
You plug this into each slipper, and then it heats them. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So let's say got in the market, but to be fair, it was quite selfish as well because I wanted somewhere
to go.
But
so this is the part I was actually wondering about because I've got friends in Calgary who know people who started craft brew pubs, and so much of the motivation was I just wanted a better place to hang with my friends that there wasn't one, so I made one.
Yeah.
Like this kind of weird, stubborn. I want this. Like, I will make it.
Yeah.
So that was like part of it.
A little bit, but it wasn't the forefront of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's the good thing about it is the way that it's evolved.
Yeah.
And people that come in that you've met so many people that different walks of life. Different.
What I love about the Hopknocker is there are people who I wouldn't in another city who just wouldn't say that they existed in a craft beer pub, but I can talk to them about a craft. So it's not just so. I will admit that my first couple of months, I was like, "Oh, this is just the neighborhood pub," and they're gotten used to it. But actually, I've had the conversations about craft beer with people of all these walks of life, and they are craft beer fans. And I was humbled by this, where it's like, oh, I was being a dick, like in the sense of I'm used to craft beer prats being of a certain demographic, people of their demographics being very set in their ways beer wise. So I just assumed it's like, oh, they're just set in their beer ways that happen to line up with this. No. There are people. So there are definitely people who come to your pub who are like know what they want and they can get it.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of people from a whole different variety of demographics and walks of life.
That's what's shocked me.
Who just even if they order like the IPA every time, it's because it's not like this generic. I grew up with blah and blah. It's like no, I just know this.
This is a solid IPA.
Yeah, but it's like And I there's a handful of times where I just like, oh, I'm doing that thing. I pride myself on not being like too judgmental, but I'm human and I did this thing, and I come to your pub and I'm like, oh, nope, there it is again. No, like this person looks like they're in their like late 40s or late 50s, and they order this, and I'm like, oh, it's because they just want a simple beer, and then they order this other thing, and they're like, oh, this is really good, and this is like, oh, yep, shame on me.
You know,
doing the bad thing.
Funny you say that there. So right, I grew up, it was about camera and real ale.
Yes.
Do you not what you're talking about there? Demographics of people in. I'm thinking it was scary because I was like thinking to myself, hang on, give it 10 years, right? And it's like a dying breed. Because you look at a lot of younger folk now.
Yeah.
It's all about alcohol free.
Oh yeah, Gen Z doesn't want booze.
Yeah. So I've got a permanent line. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, no, I have.
Craft beer alcohol free. No.
Yeah, and so
yeah.
So that's actually a really interesting thing, was because we for a couple years running have done like Lucy tends to try to do dry January. Ben has tried to do it. Yeah. And we come to the same conclusion, which is these are not great.
Yeah.
But this last year, maybe two, there have been moments where it's like, this is palatable.
Yeah.
Which is different from all the previous years, and I fully credit Gen Z because it's just literal market
demand.
Market forces.
Yeah.
It's just like, actually, if Gen Z doesn't want booze and we can sell them a drink that's not booze, thanks Rodari, this is like the thing that matters, and it sucks that it has to be sort of capitalistly motivated, but actually, as when that happened, it turns out people figured out how to make decent like alcohol-free
beer that tasted like beer, not just malty water.
Oh, sorry. Yes, but also no. Have you had hop water?
Oh yeah.
Because I think. I'm sure you've noticed that I think the podcast is probably like tune out the fucking cat yelling in the hallway. But like I tune into the sweetness quite a lot, and so that is very tied to alcohol. And so I really struggle with. So for example, I know that traditionally stouts and porters can be like 5-ish%.
Yeah.
But I think the best stouts and porters, especially stouts, are like in the 8 to 10%.
Before you said that, I knew exactly where you. Yeah.
The viscosity.
The whole.
Yeah, the thickness, the sweetness, the roundness. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the viscosity and the roundness.
But
of
the
sweetness.
hot water thing. Sorry, I'm going to jump back.
So why I'm saying this is because when you have an alcohol-free beer that's trying to be an IPA, but doesn't have that viscosity, that depth, it just tastes hollow to me.
Yeah.
And so even if it's like a well-crafted alcohol-free beer, I find it bad.
Yeah.
Because it's trying to do a thing that the way I recognize that depth needs that like hardiness that isn't there, because it's like this.
Yeah.
So what you can do is have like a alcohol-free like Pilsner or something, because its hardiness is very shallow,
quite light, and
so getting rid of it isn't a big deal. But like, sure. What's nice about the hop waters is they don't taste like a beer that I regret. They taste like something that is beer adjacent.
Yes.
And I like the taste of hops. But there's nothing. So why people hate hop waters is because they just aren't beer tasting. Why I like them is because they have a similar taste to beer, but they in no way are trying to trick me to being a beer that isn't.
Yeah, because it is just fizzy water.
Yeah,
but
it's fizzy water with like
hop addition.
And so so do you see why I started over where I did?
Yeah.
Because why I like hop waters is because the reason why I like certain beers is because of like the depth and the flavor, and often that is like the sweetness and the And so you can't trick, if that's the vector I'm talking about. There's no way you can trick me with 0%,
because it is just like
because it just won't have that depth.
Yeah.
But if you're giving me something brand spanking new that kind of reminds me of a beer, but doesn't feel like it's tricking me.
Yeah.
It's also, I love bubbles, and I have a soda stream downstairs.
So
it's like, oh, what if you had bubbly water that vaguely tasted like of beer?
Trying to stretch my legs out again.
Sorry, Dorian somehow was yelling in the fucking hallway, and then
like, have a
neither of us saw him come in.
No, then, just have a stretch of my legs.
Yeah. But this is why I like hop waters, and I get that it's not like a universal thing, but it's because they're not trying to be a beer that can't be.
Yeah.
They're trying to be a drink,
which is an alternative. It's like, do you know what? The one thing I love about hop water, the hop profile in the water.
Oh, so
smell.
Distinct.
It tastes like the smell of a fresh hop.
Yeah.
You know when you have a beer that's fermented out, and the hop profile tastes different.
Yeah.
It's mixed with different hops, and it's,
you've got like a dry hop and
and you've got the malts that come through on it. Whereas the hop water, I'm gonna orgasm now.
So this is exactly why I like hop water.
It just like, it's just bare, and it's just like
this is the hop.
That is when you walk into a brewery and you open up a packed hops and you go, that is the taste in that hop water.
So I think if hop waters start going to blends, I'll hate them. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Right. So I think one of the reasons why I like them is because it's so much. I can appreciate that it's just this hop
simple,
being presented simply.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to do anything else. Again, it's that trying to do anything else.
Yeah.
And if you try and like mix it, then you're like pretending. I don't know. Then maybe who knows? Maybe someone can make a blend that will be interesting. But like, I think why I like hop waters is because it really feels like I'm getting my bubbly water. I'm not trying to drink,
hydrating.
But also I'm getting this like really interesting hop. This hop taste. That's all I need, right? And if what I think is really bizarre is these hop waters basically have no market outside of like assholes like me. Because if you're just like person in a pub and you're like, oh, I don't feel like having a beer, a hop water is not going to do it for you. Because like how you appreciate it is like, oh, this is a Nelson Sauvin, right? Like that, like Abbeydale came out with their Nelson Sauvin hop water, and I was like, oh, this is fucking lush. This smells and tastes like Nelson Sauvin.
Yeah.
But who fucking cares about that? Very few people.
You know what I'm laughing so much for? Sorry. I bought 2 cases of Northern Monks. For me in the UK, as far as I know, they were the first hop water people doing it.
Yeah.
And I bought 2 cases of it, and nobody would drink it.
Oh.
There was a few people coming in to try it and have a try, take away.
When was this? This was like 2 years ago or something? Like
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Too soon. You were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but I got loads of hot water for free.
Yeah. So the problem is, like I said, it's like I'm 40. I sometimes want to not drink, but I know what I like. A hop water actually fits me fine.
Fruit juice.
No.
Fruit juice over alcohol free. And if I was going to go and have an alcohol free drink, I'd have fruit juice.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to replicate the beer because I'm not
do
going
well.
out to drink.
I will say, so I would say Northern Monk has had a couple beers in the past year where they're sufficiently beer tasting that I felt like it does. It's a thing.
It's replicating it.
Yeah. Again, what I like about the hot waters were it's like I don't want a water. If I wanted a beer, I would have a beer. Sorry. I guess it's more of a. Let me reframe this. I think this is the fundamental disconnect between alcohol-free beers and other drinks. It's like I like beer. I like the taste of it. Primarily, and I'm probably a bit disillusioned, but primarily I think I just like the taste of beer and I go along with the alcohol.
Right.
There are definitely nights where it's the other way around. But like I really think that's the thing. And so sometimes I realize that, like, oh, I'm 40 and I don't need to, like, have a negotiation between where that happens. And why don't I just not worry about that? And hop water is actually a really good notion of, like, what I was looking for was something like with these bittery notes, etc. And like, again, I've told you, like, I like bubbles. And so this is great. Is it a swap for beer? 1,000% no. Was I looking for a swap for beer? 1,000% no. And that's the thing that I think gets lost, is I'm not trying to pretend like this is isn't beer. Like, and this is the, like, if you're, I'm just gonna be really blunt. If you're like 23, you won't understand what I'm saying, because you just, like, want beer and you go and get beer. Why would you ever have a hot water? Why would you ever have a non-alcoholic beer? But, like, the point is that it's not even like a trade-off. It's not like I want beer, but I'm gonna settle for this. It's like I want a drink that, like, sates my taste profile. I don't need to be drunk. I like bittery, hoppy things because I've been drinking fucking bittery, hoppy things since 2001 legally, right? So, like hop water's great for me. If you're 18 now, that's probably shit. It's because like all you're getting is water tasting like shit that you don't like or appreciate.
You've never... Yeah.
Like, but I think that's the vector that we sort of skip, which is, yes, non-alcoholics and hop waters are appealing to people who have developed their palate in a certain way and want an alternative. And if you can't sell that to everyone, and that demographic doesn't exist as, like, a new drinker. Because, again, I'm the person who hated the taste of regular lagers so much that for the first 3 years of me drinking, I exclusively drank Guinness, and I drank it, like, 5 to 9 pints a night, because I was okay with that, versus the taste of, like, a lager.
Sure.
I'm a nonsense person, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, but, like, I didn't like the taste of it, and I could drink the... Guinness tastes great.
It's smoother.
And everyone else was like, oh, it, like, hits like bread. I'm like, or like it's so filling. I'm like, not if you just throw it back. Again, I'm a weird man. I was a weird man.
Back to the chugging again.
But, like, this is what I mean about, like, it's so much of this is contextual, right? Anyway, so you saw the gap, and you're just like, fuck it. I want to make the place I wish I could go to. Is that the like move?
Well, almost not the place I want to go to, because I mean, I didn't say it like that, but now I do.
I'm just like again.
So I now use, like, my sort of what I want to go, where place I want to go to. It's like, this is what I want my place to be. So
Sorry. Fucking I hate everything with the internet. It's fine. I was just trying to respond to someone in chat because I haven't seen them in a minute. But apparently I can't easily send that notion. So I mean, I think it shows in the place you've crafted, right? Like that it's not just like a random place. I mean, I've said this on the podcast. I've said it to a bunch of people. Like, literally the first time I went to your pub, I walked in on a Friday with a notebook, tried to do some work, and met so many people. And actually, the chair you're sitting on is one of the 4 chairs that was given by someone at your pub who found out I moved into a place with no furniture and gave it to me. Literally, they were like, oh, well, I was giving away these chairs to someone who's upcycling them, but you're a neighbor, you should have them. Here's my address. And so I fucking... Again, from 5 to, 9:30, 10, I think it was one of those later nights. I'm drinking at your place, and then I I get an address and I stumble to a place and realize there's 4 chairs and I have 2 hands and I stumble home with 2 and have to go back and get lost on the way there because I'm drunk as hell. But I get all 4 chairs home and then I pass out. But like, that's my first memory of your pub, right? And I think that's really...
It's got a good community spirit feel about it.
And
everybody really tries.
And they do. And I to the point where I met a bunch of people that night. They all met me. And I say this because 6-7 months later, because I had a really like rough semester, so I came a handful of times in the beginning of the term, and then like just had a gap, and then like I came like March, April. So there's like early October, a bit of November, a gap to like March, April, and then people are like, "Hey, Dill, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you?" like I felt like that because but the point is, that's the atmosphere of the Hopknocker, right? It's like it's people. Meeting people and paying attention.
So Tony says it's like Cheers.
Oh, it's
everyone knows your name.
Yeah,
do you know?
You know, I get
it has that feel where you walk in and there's not like new customers walk in and existing customers will just instantly just like, "Hi, how you doing?"
That's actually that's where it's not Cheers, because Cheers was never super welcoming to other people.
Right.
It was the regulars knew each other. But yeah, that's exactly what my experience was, and also weird. Even when I like come in and I only know like half the room, and then someone new comes in, I immediately start saying hello to them. Because you're
so you're the newbie.
but to them I'm not, right?
But you're not. But so then you're like.
But my point is that is exactly the thing that I really love and value about the atmosphere that you've like engendered, is because I might not know everyone in the room, but I know everyone in the room is going to be on my side of saying hello to this person.
Yeah.
Right. So as like someone in the middle ground. Ish, right. I know that like I'm just gonna like have an overture, and even if I can't like hold on to that forever, everyone else has got my back.
Right? They're gonna be there.
And so like, and I've noticed that because we had that academic American couple come in, Norm and Amanda.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, and I know they've showed up like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they've been.
And I guarantee you, it's because we all said hello. We just had a welcoming thing.
Yeah.
I say this because like I've met people in other pubs and they literally that first day were like, "We've never really made it. We're not sure we can come here because it's a little far from where we live." And then I've seen them 4 times since. And it's because of like that like welcoming atmosphere,
just like,
right? Like it can't be anything more.
Yeah.
Right.
So Norm. Yeah. He come in, and his wife she was doing something, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna meet up here," and he actually she picked him up in the car, and he got a takeaway beer, and you had one, you know, the water flasks.
Yeah.
Even there's a pint there. I was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a pint, right? Okay." I poured a pint of water into it, make sure it was there. Yeah, that's fine. Screw it on. He's like, "Taking it home." Stone, you know the Stone Brew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I think that's quite unique.
People that come in feel so welcome when they come in.
Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to highlight. Is that like it's not just that you
place has a click.
Yeah.
Some places have clicks, but everybody's like, so as soon as you come in there, it's just
So again, this is the thing where, coming from Bristol, where there's a lot of craft, there's a lot of like, there's like a bit of a unity on what it means to be. So like, there's a craft brewery, East Bristol Brewery Trail. But the problem with that is like it's kind of impersonal, or you go on the East Bristol Brewery Trail, and on that trail you might bump into people, and then you like make friends for the day.
Yeah.
So what I think is really great is in Durham, it's small enough that like you're doing that, and then next week you'll see them again.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I love about your pub is everyone just knows that's the case, and so even the new people clearly figure it out. So like why I brought those two up is because they showed up again, and they got what they thought, and they've showed up 2 or 3 times. I know because I felt like I was kind of being like, I'm kind of dropping in a little more erratically, but I've seen one of the two of them 3 times since I've met them. I'm like, oh, if I feel like I'm erratic and I'm seeing them a bunch, and they were the first day they showed up was when I met them. Yeah. There's something like there's a soupçon of magic, right? And I think that's really important. And I think
that comes from, to be fair, I have like a really outgoing personality, and I'm chatting with everybody. But
hell you say?
But then I think it sort of rubs off on people.
Pub. No. So I was just saying,
everybody else has that. If you give that vibe off, then it just spreads.
The pub. So why I brought that up was because I think you've engendered a welcoming pub. I don't think it's magic in pure happenstance. I think you've like part of this is effort, but also part of this is kind of luck in the sense of your clientele, your like regular clientele have embraced the idea of what does it mean for someone who I don't know to come into the bar.
Yeah.
And that's very different from a lot of places I've been. Really like hardcore regulars or not, because there are a bunch of places which are really like interesting but not welcoming, and you've managed to like create a space where and I say this because like some of your like some of the people I met in your pub, they order the same thing every time, right? And they are not craft prats.
You mean Jeff, the old guy that comes in?
I wasn't gonna name names.
But
like there are people who are just
but
like
he just changed. Well,
but like there are people who just like 9 times out of 10 I can probably tell you what they're gonna order.
Yeah.
And that's fine because but you're
I know exactly what you're gonna have next.
But like
wine.
You just look at the ABV. My fucking radar is terrible. But like the thing is like it's not about do we have the same taste. It's about are we in the same place, and I think that's the thing I'm trying to point out. It's like
on the same page. And it's
like we're not going to the Queen's Head, which is just down the road. We're coming here because we have an appreciation for company and or beer. And it doesn't matter to the degree in which you have that appreciation. That's enough. Like. So if you're just like, I like this type of craft beer, no more, no less, it doesn't matter. No one's going to judge you. That's the thing I'm trying to like. And it's great. But also, it's mostly just this notion of like, what does it mean to do X? It just means to like enjoy it. And that's the thing that I think craft should be about, and it's a thing that like. You haven't heard other episodes of this podcast, but basically what I like really rave about your pub about is like, it's just like really obvious that everyone there likes the thing. So again, why do I think I got the free chairs, one of which you're sitting on, isn't because I just happened to be in the right place in the right time. It's because I went to this really great pub and I fit in to a certain extent, and everyone's just like friendly to their neighbors. But I've literally never seen the neighborhood pub and the craft pub so overlapping before.
Right.
And I think part of it is in a place like Bristol you can't, because the craft pub is like kind of a divorcing thing because it like segments things out. But in a place like Durham, you just don't have that option, so you can meld it, but you've also figured out how to meld it.
That's
no,
more
I
like-
really mean this really sincerely.
Yeah.
Like your pub is really great because I think there's some people who, if your pub didn't exist, there's some people who would be okay with simpler beers.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, no,
but they're happy to come and have a slightly more, like, they figured out their beer.
It's funny because I've worked at a lot of customers that come in that started off drinking lager.
Yeah.
And they're drinking double IPAs now.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but they will go on double IPAs.
Yeah.
And it's about broadening
Yes.
what's available.
And, like, I think the big thing is a lot of pubs don't encourage people to try, right? So, like, your favorite thing might be the simplest nutty lager, right?
Yeah.
But, like, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try something else. And some days you might be in the mood for that something else.
Yeah.
But, like, most places don't have the capacity, let alone the, like,
to be able to,
urge.
like, to push it.
Yeah. And
just
like,
say,
why don't
"Do
you
wanna
try
go
this?
and try
thing?"
this? Yeah.
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 But that's why I think, it's why when I see certain people, like, order a thing and then order another thing, there's, like, this moment, for me, who's still new to your pub, like, they've been ordering this all night, and now they're going wildly that way for their last beer. I'm like, oh shit, I misjudged them, right?
Yeah,
but actually,
yeah.
just because they're like they've just become your pub, and like they know that
that's what they like.
Yeah.
Then yeah. There's
it's great. I fucking love
There's
it.
a few like that. that do
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And and even if they never did that last step, they'd still be fine and welcome at your the Hopknocker.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's great. But yeah, I told you we'd be done at 10:30 and it's 11.
Holy shit!
Yeah. I think we got a good sense of what brought you to craft beer, and if not, we'll have to bring you back again.
Good for that.
I will. So we talked off air, but like, I think that Ben should try Balatro. Viewers, you understand why I'm saying this. So. If I get him hooked, we'll have him on another episode where we're talking about it. But let's just clear some things up. We've been tanked up cast on all the socials. If people wanted to reach you, what socials and what handles? And that could be Untappd.
So I've got Untappd.
So what's your handle on Untappd?
It's just the Hopknocker.
The Hopknocker?
Just search the Hopknocker.
Yeah, so
search
THE.
so just the Hopknocker, then you search for venue.
Sure.
So you got like beer, brewery, venue.
Right. This is good. Yeah, because most people. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Hopknocker venue, not
the
Hopknocker, but
the Hopknocker.
Yeah.
And then you just at the top you got like a choice of the beer,
yeah,
the brewery.
we're good.
And you just put the venue. That's it.
That's
easy.
Are you on any other things?
Instagram is at the Hopknocker.
Yeah. Okay.
And Facebook is the Hopknocker Bottleshop.
That's
and
your
Micropub.
Is that your official website? I say this because I think you don't have a website.
No, that got sacked off because I paid for a year, and then the guy says he needed more money, so I was like,
do you want to fix that? We can talk.
Yeah. Yeah, but
that's bullshit. Sorry, that's just bullshit and bad.
I don't know how
Yeah.
energy costs. He's like, my servers are overheating, and I was like,
fuck.
Just forget about it.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want a website, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so the Hopknocker on all the socials. You can reach us at Tanked Up Cast on all the things. I'm at the Omniarch. Ben's at Nova_47. Not this Ben, but the other Ben. And Lucy's at JuicyLoose9. We've been tanked up. Goodbye.
www.outoflives.net